The biggest oil spill accident in the world, Deepwater Horizon.
Firstly, Niza Jalaluddin will explain the background of Deepwater Horizon incident.
The Gulf of Mexico is one of the Atlantic Ocean's smaller region and ninth largest body of water in the world, where it is majorly bounded by North American continent and Cuban islands, where the explosion of Deepwater Horizon took place in 2010. The search for oil and gas offshore for United States of America in the Gulf is one of the most important source, which also relates the USA history of petroleum industry. Deepwater Horizon was a fifth-generation deepwater rig which was designed using RBS 8D model and dynamically positioned capability with column stabilization. It is a semi-submersible mobile offshore drilling unit specifically designed to drill deep subsea wells for oil exploration and productions. With the aid of blowout preventer and a marine riser, the drilling process was on full precaution with the hazards. Deepwater Horizon was the second semi-submersible rig, which is an updated version of its predecessor, Deepwater Nautilus. The major upgrade was executed in year 2002 with eDrill, which is a drill monitoring system, and technical personnel is based in Houston, Texas. This system ensures to receive a real-time drilling data from the rig itself and also transmitting maintenance and troubleshooting information. Deepwater Horizon's specialty was its advancement in the rig's operation, varying from pressure and drill monitoring technology until an automated shut-off system as well as modeling systems for cementing. The Optichem cement modeling system used, which was one of the investigation criteria in the explosion accident. The model played a vital part in the cement slurry mix. Deepwater Horizon was built for Transocean Company by Hyundai Heavy Industries in Ulsan, South Korea. In the end of 1998, the construction took place and keel was laid on 21st March 2000. By 20th February 2001, the rig was delivered and the rig was registered in the Republic of Panama until 29 December 2004. Deepwater Horizon explosion has caused legal actions, penalties, and settlements, including oil spill response activities, natural resource damage assessment, Gulf Restoration and Restore Act, economic claims, and other payments involved, which is also a main study of why the BP company have to make so much of money in order to recover the Gulf itself and also to compensate what has caused by the explosion. Table 1 shows the selected BP payments and commitments related to the 2010 oil spill, as it is from 31st March 2014, and this just shows the estimated cost, not including the environmental effects and other criteria needed to be considered. And few recipients involved, which are federal government, states, individuals, and other businesses, which is sum up to $14,000 million of payment. As you can see in the table, it is a law review that exhibits the estimates of economic and environmental damage to external parties from the BP Deepwater Horizon oil spillage, and it is described into two panels, which is panel A and panel B, and you can see a lot of sum which involve in billions, which need to encounter the amount of damages that have done by the Deepwater Horizon explosion.
Okay, next, Arina Hanis will explain the cause of this incident.
Is first, improper cementing. The annular cement barrier was weak because the cement was a nitrified from slurry, which is light. The gas from reservoir may cause the viscosity of the cement was diluted. Second, the shoe track failure. Only 50 barrels of the cement were used to seal between the 7-inch production casing and the previously cemented 9.7 per 8-inch production casing. Third, its interpretation of the negative pressure test. On the first run, result come out was bad. The BP leader noticed that there was pressure in the drill pipe, but no mud flowing out. He said it was bladder effect. The test ran again as the seawater was pumped on the keel line. There was no flow. He assumed that the test was successful. Fourth, influx was not spotted soon by the rig crew. the well in an underbalanced position during temporarily abandoned activities, causing hydrocarbons flow up through production casing. The drill pipe pressure increases, but the rig crew was not noticed. Fifth, well control failure. The annular preventer was closed, but the mud was overflow and shoot up. Activation of the annular preventer failed to seal the annulus. 6. Overwhelm separator. As the mud overflows, the crew diverting the mud to the mud gas separator, but the drip pipe pressure keep increasing cause mud and the hydrocarbons discharge from the rig. 7. Emergency alarm failure. The alarm was not functioning when the gas flowed out and the explosion occurred. 8. BOP failure. The cables which allow the emergency shutdown system to communicate with the BOP damaged. The emergency system was unsuccessful as the yellow port has problem in vital solenoid while the blue port has flat battery. The BOP was unable to seal the well.
After this, Ikmal Haziq will explain hazard and process safety about this incident. In Deepwater Horizon accident case, process hazard defined as a planning failure step of the oil rig seal. This led to massive high pressurized release of highly flammable and reactive oil and gas which caused mechanical failure. Lastly, whole rig was on fire and sunk as well as oil leakage to the environment. Not to forget 11 fatigue. In this table, we will look at errors, loss event and impact of Deepwater Horizon accident. Firstly is sealing cement, which leads to leakage to environment and cause pollution and environmental issues. Next is pressure test error. Pressure test error leads to overpressure pipes burst and cause fatality and rig on fire. After that, valve failure, which leads to flammable gas and oil continue release and cause a mixture of mud and gas begin pouring onto the floor of the rig. Next, overwhelm separator, which leads to flammable vapor ignition, and the effect is mud gas separator was quickly overwhelmed and flammable gas began to engulf the rig. And lastly, human error. Human error leads to overpressure pipes burst and cause fatality, business loss, pollution and fines. Hazard and process safety. Firstly, material hazards, such as raw oil and gas. These materials is highly flammable and volatile. Next, energy hazards, such as mechanical, kinetic and positional energy. Oil rig drill, mud and gas separator and crane are the example of energy hazard. And lastly, chemical interactions chemical in terms of health, flammables, combustibles and reactive. Firstly, oil and gas towards oxygen and fire, and lastly, oil and gas towards environment such as sea, microorganisms and animals. Next, Ikmal Haziq will explain action taken by government due to Deepwater Horizon accident. Firstly, boom was placed with the intention of protecting shoreline or corralling oil on the water surface. Next, sorbent boom was used to soak up oil and needed to be removed once saturated. And lastly, sandberms was constructed, which were intended to prevent oil from entering estuaries and marshes. For shoreline response activities, there are 4 stages that have been made since May 2010 until November 2011. These activities including the removal of floating oil, cleaning beaches, and resurveying of affected areas to make sure all oil have been cleaned up. After that duration, the shoreline cleanup completion plan was implemented to complete the removal actions to the point where they were no longer part of active response. Wildlife response activities. Firstly, rehabilitation teams have worked with organizations, centers, and aquariums to capture, transport, and care for animals during these recovery efforts. Next, a wildlife hotline was also created to process and respond to reports of dead or oil wildlife from responders. And lastly, animals such as dolphins, turtles, and pelicans have been saved from stuck in oil. Closures of beaches and fisheries sectors have led to lost human use. Agencies closed beaches to protect human health. The closures resulted in lost use of recreational area, thus affecting tourism sector. Lastly, authorities also closed fisheries for public safety reasons to protect fishermen and public from potentially eating contaminated seafood. Okay, now Nur Afifadila will explain public perception about this Deepwater Horizon incident.
In the public health concern aspect, the key air pollutants are as listed, including benzene and polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. Benzene, as we all know, are hematotoxic and carcinogenic, while PAH may pose negative effects to the reproductive and developmental toxic towards human body. However, these particles appear unlikely to be found in an amount correlated to long-term health problem as they vaporizes before reaching the shore. Environmentally, the wildlife near the shore is heavily impacted. For example, at least 15 out of 22 cetacean stocks are exposed to oil residue. The marine species losing their habitats, and also this event is recorded as one of the largest and longest running cetacean mortality incident. Looking at the economical aspect, fishing industry are closed post-spill. 4 states suffered from this disaster are Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and Florida. Mississippi suffered the greatest economic loss in its tourism industry among these states. A total of $148 million is donated by British Petroleum to help recover the fishing and tourism industry. Proceeding to the ethical aspect, BP has pleaded guilty to 14 criminal charges. Some of them are as listed below. Workers have reported to numerous safety problems in the oil rig system but was dismissed to minimize expenditures. Executive Order 13457 was signed by the President at that time, Barack Obama, to promote environmental stewardship of the ocean, coast, and the Great Lakes in the light of the oil spill.
Here is prevention that can be taken about this Deepwater Horizon incident.
Some precautions that must be implemented are: provide proper training, regular site inspection, precautionary principles should be implemented to reduce harm to as low as reasonably practicable. Remote shut-off capability must be built. Ensure that the systems of computer are always up to date. Blowout preventer maintenance and design safety of well needs to be revised. Trade-offs between design and control should be planned well, and finally, all workers should be provided with anti-flammable protective equipment.
Last but not least, Nur Fadila will explain the conclusion on this Deepwater Horizon incident.
In conclusion, regular routine must always be followed, and in this context, a regular inspection on site should be mandatory. Politically, establishing a law and enforcing it is vital in today's society. The society has become more aware of the environment and how important it is to not only protect the wildlife but also preserve the natural habitats. And finally, we need to always learn to fight for our rights as a human.
That's all from us. Thank you very much.
Hopefully you guys enjoy our video.